Success, true success is in the details, guys. You always want to pay attention to stuff, especially after you've been doing this kind of stuff as long as I have. You know, pick up every little minute detail and try to hone your skills. Each new load that you pick up is an opportunity. What's up, guys? Zero Dot Trucker here. I'm back with another video, and today I got a new one for you. Securing something that I have not had in a very long time. It's like over a year since I've hauled this stuff, but it's very easy, and I'm excited about that because I love an easy work day. And let me go ahead and show you what I got today. We have some wire spools here, and I call them ice cream sandwiches, and I'll show you guys why. Let's take a look. It is these rolled wire on these wooden spools, and I call them ice cream sandwiches because they look like those those cookie sandwiches that you can get at the grocery store. Not the rectangular ones, but the round ones, of course. And these are super easy to secure. There are 10 of them on the trailer, side by side, straight down. And these take very little effort to secure properly. What I'm going to do is take 2 chains on the front, 2 chains on the rear back there, and then a single chain in between. And the chain goes right through that hole. And that's all there is to it. No tarp needed, just chains, chain binders, and we'll be out of here. We have a 7-hour drive to go deliver this stuff down in Florida. We're in northern Georgia right now, northern-ish, close to Atlanta. It's about 4 o'clock, and I've been here since 1. So sat around for a long time waiting to get loaded. The actual loading process did not take very long, but that's how it goes sometimes. But we've been sitting long enough for a split log to start on my clock, so we're good on time. But I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how I secure this. It should not take very long at all, and we're gonna use this pole right here to feed our chains through that hole on each one of these spools, and then we will chain things down, bind them from there. But without further ado, let's get to it. I've got all the securement out that I need to use for this, and when I handle these, I like to pre-stage the securements like this. So I got all my chains out, my binders in place where they need to be. So a couple of chains, like I said, the first set needs to have 2 chains going through it, one pulling to the front, one pulling to the rear, and I'm going to alternate these chain binders. So I got one on this side, and the opposite side has one pulling that opposite direction. And the same thing that you would do for anything that you will be strapping. You know, you always want to alternate, have an even pull down the length of your trailer. So chains where they need to be, and like I said, each one, aside from the very front one and the very rear, everything in between just gets one chain going through it, pulling straight down. Gonna go ahead and secure this. There really isn't going to be much to it, and this video here is going to be from a little bit lower of a profile than you guys are used to, because somebody ran over my equipment down there, my tripod. So we're going to be shooting. Luckily I have 2 tripods, and the one that I have left over is not as tall as the previous one, so we're going to have to replace that. But I'd rather have it be the tripod than the actual filming equipment. Thankfully it's a lot more expensive. But let's go ahead, without further ado, I'll show you guys how to secure this and what the finished product is going to look like. It's not going to take very much time. Very easy load to deal with. No edge protectors required, just chains, chain binders, and I'm gonna throw a few bungees on it to hold up the excess chain, but I'll show you guys that part when we get to it. Use the chain binders to tie anything down yet, but all of our chains are placed and we just got to hook them on. And when you're hooking these, make sure that you're hooking them to the chain tie downs if you can. That's the best spot for you to hook your chains. These, I mean, you can do it in the state pockets if you do it correctly. I've seen people do it incorrectly where they have their chain wrapped around. You see the chain on the outside, like an example. See people doing something like that, you know, that's pretty sure that's not the right way to do it, and that might even be a DOT violation, the chain being on the outside, because, you know, if somebody crashed into you, rubbed up against the side, they're just going to rub up against that chain and can break your securement. So the chain tie downs are the best, or, you know, I believe there's a spot where you can hook it underneath and hook it to the deck kind of deal, kind of thing, but I like to use the chain tie downs. So that's the only thing that I'm really going to endorse, the chain tie downs, because that spot is like perfect right there. And I always use the second link, the one down here, not the very bottom one that's touching the trailer deck, but the one closest to it, this one right here. And you want to make sure that you hook your chain on the opposite side of the weld. So you see where this portion right here is a little bit thicker, that's where the chain link is welded together. I do it on this side because this side is stronger, not the side of the weld. Hook it on to the opposite side, the smooth side. It has more structural integrity, you know, because it hasn't been bound together with a weld. Just a little bit of information. It's the fine details that make you a great driver versus just an okay one, or a, you know, a Lord forbid, a steering wheel holder. You know, knowing your craft. So let's go ahead and chain tie down and bind everything. And oh, before I forget, a tip: if you guys are doing this, you might have seen me struggling a little bit in the beginning because, like, you guys know these are two different rolls right next to each other, side by side. So this pole was banging up against the side of the far spool. That's why you guys kept on seeing me push it forward and back. It wasn't going through all the way through the hole. But a tip for you guys, if you want to make this easier, is once you hook, oh, and actually that's another tip, if you guys are using this, well, let me do order of operations for this. So there's this hole right here, okay? All right, there's this hole if you're using poles at most places where you can pick these spools up. In order to get your chain through, you're gonna want to take your hook, put it into that hole. That way your chain will be able to push all the way through. All right, that's the way to do it. Otherwise, you know, there's nothing else for you to hook it onto, and you for sure are not going to be able to get your arm through there to put that through the hole. And then going along with that, the other thing that I did to make it a little bit easier for myself, instead of having the chain on the ground and just like hooking one end and then letting the rest of the chain slack just be on the ground, put all of the chain up here. That way you don't have the added weight resistance of the heavier part of the chain down on the ground pulling against you while you're trying to force it through the hole right there. Make things easier on yourself. Work smarter, not harder, right? So after that, when you put the pole through this hole, don't try to like feel your way through there and try to get it in there. Put it in there and just let it rest at the bottom of the hole, and then just push it straight through. It'll go through easily every time if you're just pushing it through the hole. So basically what I'm trying to show you guys is, imagine this is the inside of the coil. We just went through there, and I'm just letting it rest on the bottom of that hole there, and that way the pole is guiding itself through and it's not getting caught hitting the sides of the inside of the spool, doing all this. That's what was happening to me in the beginning when I was trying to feed it through. It was doing this, it was catching on the other side. So just let it lay flat once you get it through that hole, and then just slowly guide it in. Slowly guide it through, and the chain will go through to the other side, no problem. We'll go ahead and bind these down, and we will be out of here. I should have timed myself. Normally if I'm doing something like this, I'd probably be in and out of here in like 45 minutes once I actually get to the part of chaining things down. That's with me taking my time. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. All right, when you're doing this stuff, it's good. I mean, it would be easier if there was a platform. I've been to places picking this stuff up where they had a platform that was level with the trailer, and you didn't have to be concerned with you know, not being able to see through that hole as you're lining stuff up. This place doesn't have anything like that. No Fall Pro or anything. So I'm still gonna just stand on the ground here, which is the safest place for your feet to be. You don't have to be concerned with falling off a trailer deck. So I'm gonna go ahead and secure this from ground level, you know, just from hand here. You know how I am, guys, about eliminating the risk. So I'm just gonna keep my feet firmly on the ground here. I don't have to worry about losing my balance and falling off a deck, whether it's unlikely to happen or not. I'm not gonna give it the opportunity to happen. So let's go ahead and winch these down. What's up, guys? As you may know, I have merch now. If you're interested in supporting the channel and want to rock some Erudite merch, click the store link below. I appreciate your support. Back to the video. That was silly. I was loosening it up. Let's redo that. We'll come back and deal with the slack. Don't forget about that. All right, we've made it to the home stretch. I'll show you guys the finishing touch that I do to wrap this up. And of course you got the chain. I always hook it up to a higher portion of the chain, but the slack is what you got to be concerned about. So, and let me start over here. Okay, you see how my hook is facing inward towards the load? I want to have my chain wrapping around here facing that way, so wind resistance doesn't like dislodge it. I want to wrap it around itself basically, but I'll show you. So hooks this way, wrap it under itself, take the slack out of it. So basically now if it does pull, it's going to pull this way away from the load, which would tighten the hold that hook has. Just a small detail that I do. Now wrap all that slack up. I don't just leave it like that because that has the ability to unravel somehow, you know. So I always take a bungee, hook it through one of the links, and then I just pull it back and I hook it onto the trailer, and that right there keeps all of that slack chain from unraveling. Works like a charm every single time. I've never had that come loose, and I just go around and I do that on every chain. Wrap up the excess, use a bungee to tie it back, and this thing will ride like a dream. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish that up. I'll show you guys the finished product once I'm done. All right, we're done. This kind of thing doesn't really have a whole lot of forward movement protection as far as like what you have to build yourself. It's got the coil rack right there, or the coil racks right there, and then the dunnage. And then you have your forward and rearward chains pulling in opposite directions. That's the forward movement protection for something like this. And as you can see, the slack wrapped up, pulled back tight, always works. As always, with any load that you're securing, you always want to check your final finished product for tightness. These chains should not wobble, wiggle, or give way at all. It should be drum tight, drum tight. You won't break the lumber that's holding it together. There's a metal ring that's in there, so you want to make sure this is down really tight. As I said in the beginning, chain pulling rearward and forward in the back and in the very front, and then everything in between just gets a single chain pulling straight down. Now sometimes when you're dealing with these, depending on how you're loaded, you may not be loaded in a way where your chain can pull straight down to a chain tie down. In that event, you can use the state pockets, but if you do it the right way, I'll wait until I have a actual load where I'm doing it that way to show you guys. But I had this one here that was off center a little bit, so I found a way to counter that from past experience. I mean, it's a minor detail, but every bit helps when you're trying to be safe and secure things. So the chain tie down was facing a little bit rearward here, so I kept that there. Now keep in mind, this is the same one that's in the middle right here by the very middle of the trailer, by my passenger side turn signal light. Let's go on the other side and look at that. This is facing rearward. So what I did to counter that, on the opposite side, I just had the chain pull forward a little bit, just a little bit, because you can see it's still off. There's not a chain tie down directly there, so it's pulling backwards a little bit on the passenger side, pulling forward a little bit on the driver's side. That way it's evenly balanced. Success, true success is in the details, guys. You always want to pay attention to stuff, especially after you've been doing this kind of stuff as long as I have. You know, pick up every little minute detail and try to hone your skills. Each new load that you pick up is an opportunity. Get better and hone your skills with load securement. Be a lifelong learner when you're doing this stuff. It'll only behoove you. But we're done. I already got my paperwork, and I just need to drop off this pole here. I'll do that because it's right near the exit where this has to go, so that works out just fine. I got to get to Florida. I'm 7 hours away. I don't even know what time it is right now. It's about 5:45, so I'm definitely not going to drive for 7 hours right now. I'm probably going to try to get to the state line of Florida, which is about 4, maybe 5 hours away. We'll see. I want to get there at least, and then that way I'll only have like a couple hours to drive to get rid of this stuff tomorrow, which is not bad. But I hope you guys learned something in this relatively short video. Very easy load to secure and pick up. I wish they all were like that, but I appreciate you guys all watching. As always, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you're not already there, and I'll see you all further down the road. Here at Trucker out.